Hello and welcome back. Once again, my name is Amanda Zarati, and I am one of your PLC leads for middle school theater. Today, we're going to be talking about classroom management techniques for the theater classroom. Thank you for being here with me today, and I hope you can get something from this next series of videos. In this video, we're going to be covering a few things. We're going to be defining classroom management in its simplest form. We're also going to be talking about what does classroom management look like in a theater classroom. And we're going to discuss the building blocks of expectations from the classroom to rehearsal. And I'm going to challenge you to a little reflection at the end of this video. So bear with me. All right, we're going to jump right into it. Classroom management. A simple definition is classroom management is defined as the wide variety of skills and techniques that teachers use to keep students organized, orderly, focused, and academically productive during class. So when we're thinking about all the things that go into classroom management, I want you to think about all of these things that we're doing in our classroom. We want to maximize the behaviors that facilitate or enhance the learning. All right. And we're trying to minimize behaviors that will impede the learning. Before we go over these other 5 things that I want to talk about in regards to classroom management, I want you to take a look at that question at the bottom here. What does this look like school-wide? When it comes to creating your own classroom management and the expectations in your own classroom, we've got to look at the school as a whole. And wherever you can, I want to challenge you to make connections with school-wide procedures, school-wide expectations, just so then when students come to your classroom, some things are already familiar, if that makes sense. So if I know that I'm supposed to be not talking in the hallway, then when students are lined up in the hallway at your door, then that expectation is the same. So just making seamless connections school wide and when students are in your classroom. Just think about it. Let me know what you think in the comments about that. All right. So I want you to think about 5 of these things that are going to help us create awesome classroom management techniques and skills. So we're going to talk about behavior, the environment, expectations, activities, and materials. So when it comes to behavior, just a couple of bullet points for you. Positive attitude, happy facial expressions, encouraging statements, respectful and fair treatment of all. Now, what I mean by this is it's up to you to set the tone for behavior in your classroom. So encouraging statements, no matter how you feel or how another student made you feel, the students need um, encouraging statements from us to build that resilient character. Also being respectful and fair to all. Every day is a day and a chance to wipe the slate clean when it comes to behavior. So just being able to have that positive attitude toward the students is going to go a long way. And I promise you, if you're speaking a certain way and expecting a certain type of environment in your classroom, that's going to be mirrored in how your students treat each other. Moving on to environment, when we're thinking about environment, setting up our environment in our classroom, think about welcoming, thoughtful classroom, intellectual stimulating materials, engaging curriculum-based posters. Now, in the last video series, I showed you uh, how to do the basics of creating posters in Canva. So go back and check those out if you have not checked those out. And you can use Canva to create engaging curriculum-based posters. All right, when you're thinking about a thoughtful, welcoming environment in your classroom, think about how you are making your students feel like they see themselves in your classroom. So thinking about diversity and how you can spread that in your classroom and make everybody feel like it is their classroom, it is their safe space. Expectations, we're going to talk about the quality of work teachers expect students to produce. So part of your classroom management techniques should be how you are expecting and telling students that you expect them to produce that work. Also, ways a teacher expects students to behave toward others. Those expectations have to be clear. How am I expecting you to talk to each other when you're in a group, when you're working by yourself, when you're communicating in an online discussion post? Also, if you have a do now activity where you have certain expectations, maybe it's a journal, do now entry, make sure you talk students through that on how you would like them to do that exactly. Moving on to materials, classroom management strategies are going to stem from how you're going to show students how to treat your materials, the equipment, the text, the learning resources in your classroom. And lastly, activities. These are going to refer to the kinds of learning experiences that you design to engage student interests, passions, and intellectual curiosity. So you're going to have to do a little work and find out about your students. What do they like? What are they passionate about? What do they enjoy doing? So you can create lessons that are going to be engaging based on their interests. All right, let's go ahead and let's talk about the building blocks of classroom management. And this is me personally, how I developed my classroom expectations. It's middle school, it's fun. So I'm teaching drama, right? Um, my expectations are really basic and simple and almost open-ended where I can add it to any activity I'm doing. So my expectations, I don't call them rules. Rules seems harsh. Don't ask me why, but expectations is more um I don't know, not as aggressive as the word rules. These are your rules. It seems aggressive to me, but expectations is more of, hey, this is what I need you to do. Come on in, let's have a great class. So I start with demonstrating body control. These are my expectations. R, respect the space and everyone in it. Always show theater etiquette, make good choices, and always raise your hand. So that's going to be one that's going to be seamless transition from regular classrooms. All regular teachers have that rule, raise your hand. So that's just going to be a rule in my classroom as well, or an expectation rather. Some of the building blocks that I like to focus on when I'm creating my expectations in the classroom. I like to focus on voice, routines and procedures, a culture of kindness, growth mindset, and ensemble. So when I'm talking about voice, I'm talking about my voice, how I communicate with the students. Um, I try my best to make sure that I'm doing so in a way that is uplifting, that is kind and considerate. Even if the student has done something wrong, all of the students are watching how you're talking to other students, and that's going to be mirrored. So if I'm constantly being uplifting, then the students will be able to mirror that as well. Routines and procedures. We really want to make sure that those routines and procedures are posted. So then you can refer to them. If a student's making a mistake, hey, Billy, what's our procedure? What's our routine? I don't know, miss. It's right there on the board. Go ahead and review that, and then let's do this correctly, please. So, being able to reference your routines and procedures is going to be a bonus in your classroom. Um, Culture of kindness. Instilling a culture of kindness is going to be really great for you in your classroom because when you get to things like critiquing other students on performances in class for certain lessons, that culture of kindness is going to extend to that. So I like to keep reminding my students of the golden rule. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it, right? So just building that culture of kindness. The growth mindset. I'm going to talk more about growth mindset in the next video. We're going to be focusing on proven and research strategies when it comes to classroom management, and growth mindset is going to be one of those. So a lot of theater and drama, it involves students having to take a risk and possibly failing. So growth mindset is basically teaching resiliency in students. So we'll talk more about that in the next video. Also, ensemble. I like to bring everything back to ensemble. Are you helping us work together to accomplish whatever goal we're working on? So those are just my basic building blocks when I thought about creating my own expectations for the classroom. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. Classroom to rehearsal. Have we discussed theater etiquette? Make sure that's one of the first things that you talk about in your classroom so then you can reference proper etiquette at rehearsals. Discuss your expectations and practice procedures for each location. All right. So my students know that when we are in the rehearsal room, that we are sitting, skipping a seat. The only thing you should have is your water bottle and your script, and all of your backpacks are placed in the back of the classroom, ready for when we dismiss. Also, whenever possible, like I mentioned earlier, post your expectations so then you can reference those when you need to. Classroom to rehearsal, both places should be a safe space for expression and creativity. If it doesn't feel safe to the students, ask them why. Ask them how you can improve it because they are your best resource. Reference your building blocks of classroom management. So, whenever I'm thinking about implementing a new strategy for my students, I go back to how am I talking to them? What are routines and procedures? Culture of kindness, growth mindset ensemble. And then I move forward with creating any other new expectations for my classroom. Last thing I want to challenge you to is classroom management reflection. All right, so think about this for me if you could. Are your expectations visible in your classroom for all to see? When is the last time you reviewed classroom expectations and procedures? I like to review them whenever I get a new student. I also like to review them when we have been out of school for longer than a week. And it could be a brief going over them. It could be them. It could be my students reviewing them for me, uh, leading the review, if you will. And lastly, if you were a student in your classroom, would you say that your expectations are clear and easy to understand? If your expectations are not clear and easy to understand, I challenge you to reevaluate those and make them clear and easy to understand if you were a student. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Tune into the next video. We're going to be talking about proven and research strategies in classroom management. Thank you guys for joining me. Leave a comment or a question if you'd like in the box below. Thank you.